G'day and welcome to a massive edition of the McDonald's Ballarat Football Netball League A-grade netball show. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. Well, we've had our superstar medal count during the week and certainly some very exciting results.
It is, and we've obviously seen a first-time winner in Stacey McCarthy get the job done. It was a thrilling count and it came down to the final round. So it would have been a nervous final round for Stacey. She was in front heading into that final round, just one vote ahead of Sunbury Lions' Ruth Smith. The Sunbury Lions lost in that final round and Ruth didn't poll, so Stacey managed to hold on and get the job done.
Yeah, fantastic performance there from both girls. In fact, I had the pleasure of watching Stacey over the finals and for the first time actually, because I haven't had a chance to watch too much netball over the journey, but her attack at the ball is absolutely relentless. She goes in as hard as any footballer I've seen on the field, and she gets knocked down, she gets back up again, and She's a treat to watch.
That's right. I haven't seen her often. I've seen her in a couple of grand finals, and yeah, definitely in that mid-court, she's one of the dominoes in the North Ballarat side. And obviously Ruth Smith, she's normally plays goal attack for Sunbury Lions, and she's had a tough role this year because I think she's played a lot of the season with 4 different goal shooters.
Yeah.
So a lot of her role is heavily feeding the ball in, but then when she can shoot it as well, and had a brilliant season down there as well.
Absolutely magnificent, and we had some standouts in the team of the year as well. So we've certainly a quality lineup that we've got there, and let's turn our attention back to A-grade preliminary final action, and it was East Point too good for Sunbury, and I'm just loving how this matchup is shaping. And we talk about Geelong and Hawthorn of that 1989 grand final, and when they faced off nearly 20 years later, they were drawing comparisons again. I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of comparisons to the 2016 grand final, the game that went to double extra time and East Point got up. This is going to be off the charts.
Exactly. Obviously, we'll talk about the prelim final first,
Yep.
but saying that we had 3 teams left in the competition who have played in the last however many grand finals. There's a lot of rivalry between whoever played North Ballarat City in the grand final. Would have been a thriller having Sunbury Lions beaten North Ballarat City last year, the year before East Point beat them. So they had a couple of crackers, but on the weekend it was East Point that was too good for Sunbury Lions. In the end, Sunbury Lions led at half time, but they weren't playing great, and then after half time everything came together for East Point. I think the second half was 27 goals to 10.
That's remarkable.
Absolutely brilliant second half from East Point. Naturally covering Sunbury, I did speak to Adam Balderson, the coach of Sunbury, and his first words I was not allowed to, which weren't going in the paper because they were on what he thought of their performance.
Frustrated.
What he thought of their performance, he thought was horrible. It was their worst performance of the year. Nothing sort of come together, and it's been one of those seasons they've had players in and out. They had 5 B-grade players qualify for finals. In the end, they couldn't get that consistency going, and their key players who had sort of stood out during the year, Ruth Smith, who we mentioned finished second in the League B and F, was benched at half time. She wasn't playing great. Tara Munro, who was named on the bench in Team of the Year, she also struggled. Ash Hardy, who was the league best and fairest winner last year, while she tried hard, she was very undisciplined, giving a lot of penalties, and in the end it just didn't come together for Sunbury, where for East Point it did.
Yeah, East Point, their pressure, I think their attack at the ball, I think they might have even surprised themselves just how well they played, but that potential has been there the entire year, and they've been able to push some of these great sides, and to be able to win like they did is absolutely fantastic. It gives them that run of momentum that they can challenge City in the grand final. But I just love the way they play the game. Their attack on the ball is really good. Lots of fast passes and some great quality defenders. I love watching the defenders absolutely dominate the goal shooters.
And look, and obviously you mentioned that they were pushing those top sides earlier in the season. They only lost to 1 goal by Sunbury Lions. So Sunbury had no means got on top of them. Obviously they've had a little bit of hit and miss against North Ballarat City, as we saw in the first final. But when they're on their best, they can play really well. You've got obviously 2 players from the team of the year in Bethany Smith and Lauren Atkinson, who were both named in starting positions in that team of the year in that side. So they're probably the keys for them heading into the grand final.
Loz is an absolute machine in that mid-court. She's like the engine room. She just keeps the team working really well. And of course, she's a past league best and fairest winner as well. When you have someone of that experience and that talent in the team, great things are going to happen, and it obviously showcased that way on Saturday as we turn our attention to our great grand final. And this is going to be the blockbuster, but is there going to be too much emphasis on what happened a couple of years ago, like from your fans that were there and just loving that rivalry, or are we going to be able to just part our minds with that and go, this is a fresh start, and let's see how we go.
Look, for North Ballarat City, it's probably a fresh start. They've probably forgotten about that because they lost last year's grand final as well. So 2016 is probably a distant memory because of how they performed last year and didn't get the job done. So obviously for them, they're hoping it's third time lucky that they can get the job done. East Point, look, there'll be a little bit because you do have some players that were in that side, but it's a new season, new fresh faces, and not the same lineups. And anything can happen in grand finals. And if you're looking to the past too much, you're not focusing on what's going to actually happen this year.
You think City will go in this one as favourites?
They will go in favourites. They did naturally because they did win the first final between these two sides. You look, they've got 3 players in Team of the Year, led by Stacey Macedon, who took out the league best and fairest. You had Madison Salmon, who was named the most valuable player, and then you had Gina McCartan as well. So you had 3 players in that Team of the Year. So you've got a lot of depth there and a lot of good players. They will enter favourites based on their performance the last time these two teams met.
And it's quite often those 3 players link well throughout the game. You've got Stace carving it up in centre. You've got Gina there at sort of around the wing attack position. And you've got Maddie, who's one of the great young promising talents in the competition. And she's a gun shooter in her own right, very accurate, and she's displayed some tremendous ability at VNL level. I think it's great. Like, Maddie did win the most valuable player, recognised by... I believe it's an award recognised by opposition players. So that's how in high regard she's been held as, I think she's 17 or 16, 17-year-old. That's great accolade.
It is, and it shows the young players coming through this system. It's not the same old players every year winning that. I think Chloe Curran, another goal shooter, won that award last year, and then she went on to win a premiership. So you look, the last 2 years, it has been the goal shooters that have taken out that award, and maybe if a history repeats itself, could go on to win a premiership.
Your tip for this one?
North Ballarat City.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the underdogs. I'm gonna go for East Point because I like the way they play their game. I love the work there of Lozzie Atkinson there in the centre, the mid-court, dominating in that respect. But then again, City, I think they've got a lot to prove now. They can't afford to lose multiple grand finals in a row. No doubt the last couple would have hurt. It'll shape up to be a really, really good stage. I think this will be a closer grand final than last year. I don't doubt that for a second.
I think so, and obviously you mentioned teams looking to get back from last year. We've got a couple of others in the lower grades that did lose last year's grand finals that will be hoping to get revenge this year.
Absolutely. Before we wrap things up, let's touch on some of the other grades going throughout the day. We'll start with the under-19s. We've got Ballarat and Lake Windaree.
Look, we've seen Lake Windaree has been really strong across all the grades in past years. They had 3 or 4 teams in grand finals last year, and I think they won at least a couple of them. So they're back in that. And you've got Ballarat. It's good to see Ballarat in there. They do have their C grade side in there as well. So their A grade side wasn't one of the ones up there, but it's good to see a couple of the different sides getting their teams in the grand final.
Tip for this one?
Ballarat.
I'm going to go Lake Windaree. Their juniors coming right through is looking really promising, and there's fueling for a great under-19s contest. Melton South v Ballarat. This is going to be a cracker for E-grade netball.
Look, this is the interesting competition. I know with Melton South, this is a team that just sort of did everything by themselves. They didn't necessarily train. It's just girls who wanted to get out there and play netball and have fun on the weekend. And
sounds like a song.
Yeah, and obviously we were talking about Ballarat. I missed that Ballarat had 3 sides in the grand final because they've got their E-grade side. So this is a lot of the sides that are just having a bit of fun, and obviously, look, I think Melton South might get up. I
agree with you. They've played some quality netball. They've got enormous talent in that team. They've played really well. D grade, we've got East v Lake Windaree.
Look, I'm pretty sure Lake Windaree may have taken this title out last year.
I think you're right.
Against Sunbury Lions, and obviously East Point, who do have their A grade side in there as well. So you look, both of these sides have got a couple of sides in the grand final, and they've both been predominantly up there. I think Lakers might go back to back.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. They've got a couple of standouts who polled really well in the best and fairest camp. Were enormous, in fact. C grade, we've got Sunbury Lions v Ballarat.
It is. You've got Sunbury, who lost last year's grand final to Lakers in this one, so they'll be looking to get a little bit of redemption. You've got Shelley Holter, who was co-best and fairest winner, who is one of the keys for Sunbury there, against Ballarat, who's got their 3rd side of the day for the grand final. So there'll be, obviously, the grand final being in a Ballarat, there'll be a lot of support up there for them as well.
Should be fantastic. Your tip?
I think Sunbury will get this one.
Yep, Shelby Holter to have an absolute blinder, take out the best on court medal for mine, and of course in B grade we've got Sunbury Lions v Lake Windaree.
This is a repeat of last year's grand final as well, where the Lakers got up. Be pretty interesting. I know Sunbury have been the dominant side the last 2 years, was shattered not to win last year. And you look, they're led by Susie Johnson, who's won consecutive league best and fairest, and Amanda Cusack, who's won consecutive most valuable players. So you've got 2 players at either end of the court there there with a lot of experience will lead the way there. And obviously you've got Lakers who take the confidence. They did knock off Sunbury last year. Sunbury did have to win through to the finals the hard way, the grand final the hard way. So Lakers probably on form do enter it as the form team, but I think Sunbury will probably get up. They will have their full complement of players back, with Renee Hales, who had been playing A grade, stepping back down into B grade with the A grade side out. So it'll be interesting, but I think Sunbury will get up.
I agree with you, Susie Johnson, to absolutely carve it up. Her form has been insanely good. Well, thanks to our friends at McDonald's, and Tara, thanks so much for your tremendous support across the finals and everyone watching in every single week. We hope you guys go out there and enjoy the grand final, and hopefully your team wins on the day. And Tara, thanks so much for all your great work, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.